Hello besties, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be doing something to counteract my outrageous screen time from last week. I got a notification that my average screen time for last week was 6 hours and 9 minutes. And one of my goals for 2025 was to consistently keep my average screen time under 5 hours per week. So we have some work to do, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to do one of those swapping screen time for reading time videos. So today we are going to be reading for 6 hours and 9 minutes, since that's what my average screen time was for last week. So yeah, I actually started recording this video this morning when I woke up so that I would have as much time to complete the 6 hours, but I waited to film the intro until I'd gotten a little bit ready. So we will go back to this morning in just a second, but before we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm currently reading. I'm currently rereading two books. I'm rereading Book Lovers by Emily Henry and The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, obviously. So I could continue one of those books for this video, but I'm filming a whole other vlog rereading The Hunger Games. So I figured I'd save reading that for that vlog. In addition, my book club is meeting to discuss this book right here. Well, the book's over there. This is The Dust Jacket, but it's Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. We're meeting to discuss this in 2 days. So I figured, let's just start a new book because I need to read this one anyways. And if I want to read a little bit of Book Lovers later in the day to mix it up, I can do that as well. But for now, you guys will see me starting Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan now. Hello besties, we are now about 2 hours into the swapping my screen time for reading time challenge. Pretty much exactly 2 hours in actually. We started off at 6 hours and 9 minutes and now we're down to 4 hours and 8 minutes. I just paused the timer so I could chat with you guys a little bit. As you saw, I started Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. We're now on to page 141, which is chapter 15, and something really insane just happened on this last chapter. So I'm really excited to keep reading this book. This book takes place in a territory of the mortal realms that is currently being ruled by the immortals and the gods, basically. Hundreds of years ago, this territory in the mortal realm was being attacked by these like bloodthirsty creatures from the netherworlds. So the ruler at the time made a deal with the gods, who are like the immortals, for protection over their lands from these like monsters that were attacking them. So in exchange for this protection, obviously, basically have to do everything that the gods say. When the book starts off, our main character's grandfather is like the ruler of the mortal realms, but he still reports to the gods. He has found this like precious lotus flower that the gods asked him to return to them. However, he disobeys them, and instead of giving it to the gods, he ends up giving it to his granddaughter, our main character, because she is ill, and the only thing that can stop her from being like weak and ill is this lotus flower. Soon after this, I feel like this isn't a spoiler because it's like 10 pages in, her grandfather ends up passing away, so she is the rightful heir to the throne, but she can't let the gods know that she has this precious lotus flower. So she has to deceive them and outsmart them and go through this whole process of taking her throne. Meanwhile, we meet the god of war, who's kinda We like the god of war. He immediately is very protective over her. He's kind of guiding and helping her through this process. But yeah, she's kind of developing a little bit of feelings for him, but she can't trust him because the gods are just untrustworthy and deceitful, and she's trying to deceive them as well. But yeah, like I said, something really crazy just happened, so I'm really excited to keep reading this book. Like, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. I know Su Lan Tan has another book, Daughter of the Moon Goddess, I believe, but I have not read that one. I heard that this kind of takes place in the same world, but you don't have to read the other series before getting to this one. It's described to me as kind of like a Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows situation. Yeah, I'm really excited to keep reading this. However, I'm gonna leave myself on this little cliffhanger for just a moment because I remembered that I saw this video of Emily Henry saying that in the paperback of Funny Story, there's a little snippet of her book that's coming out next month, Great Big Beautiful Life. So I thought it would be fun to read that together, and then I think I'm gonna get up and get ready and we'll maybe go to a coffee shop to change our scenery a little bit and keep reading Immortal. And then this evening I teach 2 Pilates classes, and then we'll have more time to read after that. It's only 11:50 a.m. and I have 4 hours left to read, so I think I can do this, guys. But yeah, let's read Great Big Beautiful Life. If you don't know what it's about, it says right here, 2 writers compete for the chance to tell the larger-than-life story of a woman with more than a couple of plot twists up her sleeve. So excited that it's another book about 2 authors. I love when Emily Henry's characters are bookish people. Oh wait, I gotta press play on my timer. I'm like already smiling. Oh my gosh, I wish I could keep reading that. Wow, that just made me so excited. Now I'm gonna go get ready to go leave the house. Okay, so I just went into this coffee shop that I really wanted to try because I've heard really good things about their matcha, and unfortunately there were absolutely 0 places to sit. I'm gonna pretend like I'm talking on speakerphone right now because there's someone in the window over there looking at me and I don't want to seem weird like I'm talking to a camera. I'm just talking on the phone right now. Anyways, like I said, there was legitimately nowhere to sit, so I was like, shoot, I'm not gonna be able to read here. Plus, the vibes were just a little bit bizarre. Nothing against anybody who was working there. The people working there were really nice. There was just no music playing, and I felt uncomfortable. However, the matcha does look incredible. If I can pull it out of my cup holder. It looks like an amazing color, so I thought we could try it together. I got an iced oat milk matcha with honey. Wow. Wow. That actually may be the best matcha I've ever had. Holy sh... Wow. Okay, well that was worth it just to get this. This is incredible. I'm gonna take this glorious matcha and drive somewhere else to read my book for a little bit before I have to teach my Pilates classes. Okay, I've driven over to the Pilates studio and just decided that I'm just gonna read in my car for a little bit before I have to go in and teach because I love reading in my car, to be honest. And I've been listening to the audiobook while I drove to the coffee shop and then drove over here. And the audiobook's really good. I'm really liking the audiobook. It's on Spotify, which is awesome. But I just paused the timer at 3 hours and 3 minutes. So we're halfway through my 6 hours and 9 minutes. teeny bit more than halfway through my 6 hours and 9 minutes for the day. Still really enjoying this book. My one like qualm with it, I guess, I don't know, is that I don't really like believe in the romance. Like obviously I can sense a vibe between Leanne and the God of War, and we know there's like this yearning and these feelings are there that they can't act on because of the circumstances, but at the same time I feel like I don't really understand what they like about one another. I don't know if that makes sense, and I don't know if it's just because this is a standalone fantasy. I feel like a lot of the time we get these really long, drawn-out relationships in fantasy books because there'll be a lot of books in a series that will help you like understand the inner workings of all the characters' minds. So maybe I'm just used to that and that's why this is feeling different. But I'm just not really believing in it yet. The plot and the political intrigue, though, is there for me. I'm really enjoying reading about the process of how Leanne is kind of claiming her throne and stepping up as a leader. And the politics of the world is pretty interesting because there's all these intricacies within all these relationships with the mortals and the gods and the history in which like their agreements have been made. I think I'm like almost 50% through. I would love to be able to finish this book today. I don't think I'll be able to finish it in 3 hours, so we'll see if I end up finishing it today, but I always feel so accomplished when I read a whole book in a day. Anyways, like I said, I'm gonna read a little bit in my car, enjoy this incredible matcha. I love this sound. Then we'll go and teach, and then I'll finish up whatever's left on the timer when I get home tonight. Hello again, besties. It has now been many hours since I've done any reading. We are now on page 223. We have about 2.5 hours left of reading. It's almost 8:30 p.m. so I'm hoping I can just focus right now and get this done by 11. I have really everything I could need. I have my peppermint tea, my ice water, and a really nice stack of Thin Mints. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna sit here in bed. I'm gonna put my headphones on. I think I'll listen to the audiobook as I read, just help immerse myself and hopefully keep myself focused for these next 2.5 hours. And hopefully I'll update you once I have finished swapping my screen time for reading time today. Tomorrow when we wrap up this video, we'll take a look at how many hours I ended up spending on my phone today. Even though I'm doing a lot of reading today, I know that I also spent a lot of time on my phone. Like when I got home from work this evening, I spent probably 20 minutes on TikTok just scrolling in my car after I'd parked. So yeah, I might get exposed tomorrow. But for now, I'm just gonna sit here and keep reading Immortal. We have made it to part 3 in the book. An hour and 45 minutes left, and I want to turn the light off and read on my Kindle, and I have Book Lovers downloaded on my Kindle, so we are going to finish off this challenge. Continuing my reread of Book Lovers, and hopefully I can stay awake for another hour and 45 minutes. Good morning, my besties. It is clearly the next day now. I somehow managed to finish that last hour and 45 minutes or whatever it was last night reading Book Lovers on my Kindle. I do not think I would have been able to do that if I was reading any other book. I just love this book so much. It was so giddy reading the banter between Charlie and Nora that it just kept me awake, luckily. But honestly, last like 30 minutes, I was really fighting to keep my eyes open. But like I said, I managed to power through. I was reading it on my Kindle last night, like you guys know, but this morning I went back through, added tabs in the physical book for what I was reading on the Kindle. I'm really enjoying just taking my time reading this book and annotating it and being giggly over it. I also continued the audiobook for Immortal this morning while I was getting ready. We have made it up to page 348, so I think I have about 100 pages left. So I'll finish this later tonight, and I'll just have to give you guys my final thoughts on this book when I film my monthly wrap-up for March later in the month. But I will say I am really enjoying all the like Chinese mythology aspects that we're getting in this book. It's super cool and interesting, and also just a nice switch up from the typical fantasy books that I'm reading. And I know earlier I was complaining that I didn't see the connection between our two main characters, but it makes a lot more sense now. I'll just say that. So yeah, now it is time for the grand reveal. We can look at what my screen time was yesterday. Hopefully it was under 6 hours. Like I previously said, my goal for 2025 is to keep my average screen time under 5 hours every week. So let's see what it was. Today, March, oh my God, you guys, I did it. 4 hours and 41 minutes on my phone yesterday, under 5 hours. Still managed to spend 43 minutes on TikTok yesterday. So I guess we can say this challenge was a success. I read for my 6 hours and 9 minutes yesterday, and I got my screen time under 5 hours. Obviously this challenge would have been a lot harder if I would have had to work a whole 8 hours yesterday. Luckily it was just one of the days where I only teach Pilates, so I was only working for like 3-ish hours. I did strategically plan this to be on a day where I would have more time to read. But yeah, I always just feel so much better mentally and feel so much more productive when I'm spending my time reading a book rather than scrolling on my phone. So that's definitely something I'm gonna continue to work on this year. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And hopefully I will see you next week for my next video. Bye!